This is RIFF Radio, a presentation of RIFF Magazine. You can find it online at riffmagazine.com, your source for music news, interviews, live reviews from the Bay Area and beyond. On this episode, we talked to somebody who took about as tragic a moment as you can imagine and used it as a turning point to create an organization for positive change. She is Talinda Bennington. She was the wife of Linkin Park frontman Chester Bennington, who sadly lost his battle with depression and addiction back in July of 2017. She created an organization, 320 Changes Direction, with the focus on mental health, having conversations about mental health, and connecting people to the resources they need for mental health support. Like so many people, they've also been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Their 320 Festival was coming up in May, a partnership between Bennington and Warped Tour founder Kevin Lyman, some amazing artists involved in that, but they did not let the virus deter them, rather took the event online, and we will talk more about that. At this point, we welcome in Talinda Bennington. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Let's start just with you personally. Have you kind of been managing through everything? Have you adapted personally? I mean, everyone's kind of stuck in the shelter-in-place mode right now that everyone's been under. How's that been for you so far?
It's actually been fun. I'm not gonna, some people may hate me for saying that, but I really enjoy my kids and my family and my home. I feel really blessed that we have food on the table and we have each other. Mm-hmm. So, I've just been being really grateful, to be honest with you. I just, even though it gets hard and I realize that I might need to go back to second grade because I'm having trouble teaching math to my girls, tumbling at times, but aside from that, it's all good.
Exactly. So let's start with the organization, 320 Changes Direction. We can go a little deeper into how that started, but let's start off with the mission first. You're really looking to start a conversation about mental health and mental health issues. Go a little bit deeper into the mission of the organization.
Yeah, thank you. So I co-founded 320 Changes Direction after I lost my husband, Chester, to suicide. And my initial, motivation for doing it was I was on Twitter a lot after he died because I couldn't sleep, and I was just up really late at night, and there were people to talk to. And I realized that Chester had left behind a world full of fans that were hurting and suffering. And as I chatted with them, they became real. It wasn't a fan of my husband anymore. It was a mom of 3 in Brazil. It was, a son who couldn't tell his parents, how he was feeling. Mm-hmm. And I realized that, Chester would have never wanted people to hurt over him, and that I also realized people needed to talk about their feelings, and I saw the feeling of unity when these Twitter conversations, somebody would say, "Oh, I feel the same way too," and they would share their stories, and they knew they weren't alone. So, for me, that message was very loud and clear that I had this platform to connect people and to also remind people that you're not alone. And I wanted to make a difference. I wanted Chester's death to not be in vain because he died so young and so tragically. Mm-hmm. And nobody else should ever feel that bad or hurt like our families and friends have hurt. And so I kind of dug in, and with the help of the band and their staff, they put me in contact with hundreds of different mental health organizations, different individuals that were kind of paving their way with mental health advocacy. Excuse me. And so I realized I didn't need to reinvent the wheel. I wanted to try to connect pieces of it. So that's what 320 Changes Direction does. 320 is Chester's birthday, and Changes Direction is a mental health initiative that really calls upon every single person to do what they can in their life to change direction, like literally change the direction of the way we think about suicide, about mental health illness, to reduce stigma and shame. So that's kind of where it came from. And what we do is we connect resources with each other. We connect people with resources, and we get out there and talk about it. We do what we can to let people know that everybody has mental health. We do our best to help educate on different subjects, and it's really a great organization to be part of, and I'm so proud to be part of it and to be doing my little part that I can in the world to make a difference.
Right. I think in a lot of ways, Chester and Lincoln Park musically were kind of on the forefront of this in a way of, being able to talk about these issues or what was going on. And a lot of that came out through music, and, people were inspired by that. Like you mentioned with a lot of the people you talked to on Twitter. Is that something a trend you've still seen happening, that more and more it's something that it's okay to talk about, it's okay to reach out and get help about, people are more open about this kind of thing, or is there still more work to be done?
Both. I think that, we have seen a difference, an improvement, a gain in stride, but there is a lot more work to be done for sure, because people are still suffering in silence, and especially now with, being on lockdown, the world being on lockdown, a lot of people aren't so lucky to be able to be with their family, or even put food on their table, or, they're worrying about keeping a roof over their head. And that causes such mental anguish. It's now more than ever, we need to reach out to each other, offer to help, and support one another in any way we can.
Yeah, I was going to say, with, like you said, now more than ever, people are feeling uncertain and isolation and loneliness. And I assume that's something you're seeing as well, that it's a little harder to, connect with people or find out how they're doing and, check in times like this.
Yeah. It's really important for us to check in on each other, if you can Skype or FaceTime, that's always, most ideal, I think, but even just calling or like even handwriting letters, I know that where I live, the hospice care places and the nursing homes are asking students to handwrite letters to their patients and to the senior citizens in the communities, because they can't have visitors. And they're back from a time where, getting handwritten letters was a normalcy. And so I think that's something really cool, too, to help other people and bring joy to somebody's lives. And it's so simple. It's the simplest little thing. But, just bringing a smile to your face, elevates your moods, kicks up all those good hormones in your body and chemicals and stuff. So it's really important.
No, as you mentioned, your inspiration for starting the organization was, watching some of Chester's struggles with depression. How difficult was it during that time to watch him going through it and not necessarily have this roadmap of who to call or who to talk to or, how to handle issues like that?
Yeah, it was really, really hard. I mean, and to say that is an understatement. It was terrifying. It was confusing. Caused a lot of self-doubt, and a lot of those feelings could have been resolved. And if I knew where to go, where to turn to, because it's such a feeling of loneliness and feeling isolated when you're watching someone you love be depressed or not be able to put the drink down. At the end of the day, we can't make anybody do anything. We're only in charge of ourselves. And, you can't love somebody better. And that is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. But I wish I just knew, I wish I was just able to talk to other wives or family members. I wish that Chester lived in a time where he didn't have to feel ashamed for having a clinical diagnosis. He wouldn't be judged for it, certainly in our nobody in our family or our friends would judge him. But, I know that it was something he just wanted to keep to himself. And I think that with all of the resources that we have out there, there's something for everybody, whether it's, talking directly like with a doctor, or it's peer-to-peer support, or it's group support, or it's, let's not talk about it and just take a bike ride kind of support. Like, there's something out there for everybody. And it's really important that we, as a society, come together and share these ways of coping, these resources we have, and share our stories with each other. Because, if one thing I've learned, if I'm feeling a certain way, I know that there's somebody else in the world that's feeling the exact same way. Like, it's not just me.
Right. Now, you were able to take just an incredibly challenging moment and use it to create something positive, kind of create positive change out of it. Did you have your own struggles to get to that point where, you could talk about it openly and be able to, inspire others?
I didn't. I'm the type of person that has to take action to feel better, to get through things. I'm an overtalker, I guess someone could say. I really, heck, I'll even talk to myself. I remember when I was little, I would talk to myself all the time, and just talk things through. I had a really, really difficult childhood. I struggled in many ways, and I think I learned how to be very resilient. But I also learned from a very young age that things that happen to you aren't your fault, aren't because of you, right? Like, you aren't your situation. You aren't the things that happen to you. So when Chester died, I knew, through my faith, I knew through, my heart that there was nothing I could have done. There was nothing more I could have done. I loved him as hard as I could. And it was healing to talk about that to other people, which is, why I was on Twitter and talking to people and sharing how I felt and stuff. And, but I also had the other side of it too, where, I had our twins were 5 and Tyler was 11, and, I had to show up as a mom for them. Like, they lost their dad. The girls most definitely could not understand how. Tyler sadly did, because we just lost Chris Cornell, who was very close to us. So, Tyler sadly did understand, but I had to show up for him too, and be the example my kids needed to be of that it's going to be okay, and that I'm okay, and that I cry and I hurt, but I also talk about it, and so far, they've done the same. They talk about it, and they talk about their dad all the time, and they talk to a therapist every week. So that hasn't been hard for me, but I think for people, in my experience, the people that I've encountered that have a difficult time sharing their story or their struggles. To that I say there's many resources for them where they don't even need to speak up or share. They could be online. They could, the crisis text line's a great resource. Some peer-to-peer groups or peer-to-peer activities, saying that let's not talk about it, bike rides. Like, there are literally groups that get together of people that have gone through some struggle that is the same, and they'll do an activity where it's just that activity and they're focused on that. But they all have this understanding of they're all there because of whatever reason. And I think that's really cool too. Like, because sometimes people don't want to talk about it. They just want to internally process it and get through.
Right, exactly. Now, let's talk a little bit about the 320 festival you have coming up. You have so many artists and contributors involved, and also, like everyone else, you're adapting and bringing the event online. What do you have planned for this event?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So this event we've taken it online now because the world is on lockdown. We had an amazing day planned at LA Live, and there were so many aspects to this festival. So there still is, the educational panels, and even more than educational, informative, fun, inspiring, different sets of panels with panelists that are, some are comedians, some are doctors, some are just everyday people that have chosen to do something that has helped their community, and the lineup of panelists is really impressive. I'm deeply honored that everybody's taken their time to join this cause and to share their stories and to come together. So we have panels, we have roundtables, which basically are just smaller, more focused discussions, like one-on-one with directly with said panelist or said expert or said person. And then we also have musical performances. And so how this is going to look online is it runs May 8th, 9th, and 10th. Mm-hmm. You can go to 320festival.com to see the schedule, and you can tune in. And on the festival webpage, it tells you all the different ways you can tune in. It's super easy to watch. I like watching things on my TV still, so I'm super happy we can stream it from our Apple TV. And just tune in to the panels you want to see. You can tune into the musicians you want to hear sing. And it's 21 hours of programming. And our friends over at Google called us ambitious, but they loved it. So
that's great.
We're doing it, yeah.
I feel like in some ways there's almost kind of a silver lining to it in the situation everyone's in right now. I mean, the impact you can have, people watching it around the world who, will either find it informative or entertaining or, have need for those resources right now. I mean, it feels like the perfect time for something like this to be happening.
Yeah. That's what most of my friends are telling me, because when it started to look like the actual festival itself, the live festival itself, wasn't going to happen, I was just like, I thought we just weren't going to do it. And Kevin Lyman, my partner, is so innovative and inspirational, and I can't speak highly enough about him. He was like, no way, we're going to take this online. Like, we can do this. Like, we're not stopping. Like, people need us more than ever. And I was like, okay, Kevin. So, of course, I called my group of friends, and I'm like, what do you guys think? And everybody was like, yeah, like, everybody's home, and they need something to inspire them. People are home, and they're struggling with mental health issues. They're depressed. And nobody's doing anything like this. So really proud to be part of this, and I'm proud of my team, and our sponsors that are bringing this to life, our online sponsors that are giving us a live stream. There are maybe over 1,000 people.
Oh, wow.
that are really behind this to make this happen, and it's amazing.
That's incredible. Now, looking ahead, you've done so much amazing work already. Are there goals you have going forward, or we've talked about how much work there is still to be done on this issue? Are there the things that you've kind of marked off that you want to accomplish with this in the coming weeks, months, and years?
Yeah. Well, I definitely, we're definitely going to make this festival happen as originally planned, when it's safe to. So if that's in 2021 or even 2022, our partners at LA Live and AEG are so supportive, and they had originally donated the entire campus of LA Live, which was an unprecedented thing. So yeah, I don't think that it's gonna stop, and there's always more work to do, and I really love being a mental health advocate. I'm most definitely not a mental health expert. I leave that to the doctors and the mental health professionals. But I do love advocacy work, and that for me is spreading the word. Showing up when I'm asked to, doing what I can, and helping others to understand that you can all be mental health advocates in your own way. In whatever way feels comfortable for you. It's really just speaking out about our mental health and maybe sharing a resource or a story, or, and for that reason, what I do will never be finished.
Right. Well, it's
and I also love the organizations that we work with. The Dee Dee Hirsch Center is one of them that I work very closely with. I've also had the enormous honor to have been asked by the World Health Organization to work with them to promote World Mental Health Day last September, and that's created a relationship between myself and the Director General of the WHO and his amazing staff, and my work with them is ongoing. So I post a lot of information that they directly send to me regarding mental health awareness and campaigns and stuff. So I'm proud to represent them, and it makes me feel good knowing that I'm helping in some type of way.
Excellent. Well, like I said, so much amazing work done already, and so many things lying ahead here in the future. So thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll look forward to tuning into the festival here in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much, and thanks for covering this and talking to me. I appreciate it.
Our thanks to Talinda Bennington for joining us. To find out more about the organization, go to changedirection.org. That is changedirection.org. And don't forget the 320 Festival coming up here in May. Again, go to riffmagazine.com for more. This is Riff Radio.